Okay, so originally I wasn't planning on making this video, and I wanted to focus on the 100 subscriber special as well as the next upcoming death battle, but this is related to Buffy versus Blade, so we're gonna talk about it. What we're gonna do today is I want to show some of the god-awful responses I've gotten from death battle fans in defense of Buffy versus Blade and against my recent rant video I made, which honestly caused way more controversy than I was initially expecting it to. And some of these responses are a perfect example of what I'm talking about when I say certain death battle fans are just absolutely frustrating and really don't help out death battle. So let's not waste any more time. I have a few responses here that I want to address. Okay, so let's start with the most useless ones and go from there. Now, I will put these on screen so you can read them for yourself. I apologize if they're a little bit difficult to read. I will try to zoom them in and enlarge them as best I can, but I will also read them out just in case anybody has any trouble reading them. So for starters, we have this brilliant guy right here who says, "Actually the most corny ass shit I've ever heard. How the fuck do you say this shit and not get embarrassed?" So the insinuation here is that because I made my rant video the way that I did, that somehow makes me corny and I should be embarrassed for even daring to have an opinion. And this is something that if you follow my channel long enough, you would know is a huge habit of death battle fanboys, is if you criticize death battle in any way, shape, or form, they will either insult you, attack your character, or say, "Oh, your opinion is stupid, like, how you take yourself seriously." Like, okay, dude, how do you take yourself seriously? Like, you come over to my comment section and you don't have anything worthwhile to say. You just say that, "Oh, you're very corny." First off, my guy, do you even know what the heck corny means? Corny is meant to describe somebody who's very gullible and easy to trick. And I got news for you, I'm not very gullible or easy to trick, so I don't think that word means what you think it means. Second off, to suggest that I should feel embarrassed because I have my own opinions and thoughts, and look, you're free to think what you want about my thoughts and opinions. I openly admit that my thoughts are my own and they can be controversial at times. I don't make these videos for the sake of affirming other people's preconceived notions. I give my thoughts, I give my critiques of death battle, and if people agree with me, then they agree with me. If they don't, then they don't. But why do you gotta be a fucking douchebag about it? That's what I don't get. See, I often get labeled as somebody who hates death battle, and this is something you'll see as we look through some of these other comments, this accusation that, "Oh, I just hate death battle." I already had to make a whole ass video addressing this absurd claim that I'm just some death battle hater, even though if I truly hated death battle, why would I dedicate years of my life to talking about death battle? Why would I say in the very same video that my life would be boring without death battle, just because I make a playful little reference to the rivalry of Joker and Batman is not evidence of me being corny or me trying to take shit seriously. That's just me being playful and referencing that me and death battle have a long relationship together. And from my point of view, I feel that we do have a kind of Joker-Batman dynamic. And what I mean by that is death battle is often known for causing chaos, sometimes intentionally so. And I'm often known for trying to bring order and make sense of death battle's chaos. You know, kind of like Joker and Batman. It's not really complicated stuff here, but I don't want to give this guy's comment any more than it deserves because, again, it is just an utterly useless comment. So let's move on to the next one. Now, this right here is the most common argument I've been hearing from both my YouTube comment section, Twitter, and even my own Discord. You really think that an indie production like Death Battle casting somebody else as Blade instead of Wesley Snipes, you do realize that Death Battle can't afford Snipes, right? They aren't even replacing him. It's not the same Blade as Movie Blade, so nobody's being replaced. And I frickin' despise this argument because, first off, this right here just exposes the Death Battle fans for what they are. And what it exposes them as is people that don't have any faith in Death Battle. This is what I like to call the bigotry of low expectations. In their mind, oh, Death Battle is just this small little indie company. Nobody knows who Death Battle is. How can you expect a teeny tiny little indie team to get their hands on somebody like Wesley Snipes? Do you really think they could do that? Yes, absolutely I do. With the right connections and phone calls, it is possible. Arnold Schwarzenegger once said in one of his explanations about the keys to success, he said, don't listen to the naysayers. Don't listen to the people that tell you you can't. And that's all I ever hear from these so-called Death Battle fans. Death Battle can't do this. Death Battle can't do that. What are you doing thinking that Death Battle can do this and that? So, how am I an asshole for actually having higher expectations of Death Battle and believing that they can do bigger and better things? That's what I don't understand. You're over here saying that Death Battle can't do this. Well, Arnold Schwarzenegger once said that whenever he heard the words, it's impossible or it can't be done, you know what he said? I heard it can be done. And maybe it's never been done before. I'll be the first person to do it. And I pointed this out in my video. But if Nostalgia Critic and AVGN can get big name celebrities in their videos, like Corey Taylor, Guar, Macaulay Culkin, and Gilbert Godfrey, then what the fuck is Death Battle's excuse? Seriously, explain that to me. And it's not like we're talking about getting Tom Cruise or something like that. First off, when Wesley Snipes got into legal trouble, his career kind of went into a drop-off at that point. It kind of ended up in purgatory. And even when Wesley Snipes finally did come back, he hasn't been showing up in a lot of movies like he used to. He showed up in that garbage sequel to Coming to America that nobody asked for and liked. And then, of course, he came back as Blade. And Wesley Snipes has a lot of love for the character of Blade. If he's willing to come back to play Blade in Deadpool and Wolverine, you think he wouldn't be willing to come back and play Blade for a few minutes in a Death Battle? I find that hard to believe. And this isn't even necessarily about them not being able to get Wesley Snipes. The point I'm trying to make about this argument is, like I said in my video, and I refuse to believe that these people even made it all the way through my video, because one of them you will see openly admits that he only watched 8 minutes of my video. But I explained this very clearly. When you take a character that is very closely associated with a very specific actor, an actor brought that character to life in a way that no actor has, because no other actor, at least as far as live-action Blade is concerned, has played Blade. This isn't like Batman, and this isn't like Joker, where we have had many Jokers and many Batmen. Blade, as far as live-action portrayals are concerned, has only been played by one man, Wesley Snipes. And Wesley Snipes has come to define our understanding of who Blade is as a character. So when you try to just bring in some rando actor that nobody has ever heard of, from what I understand, he's just some guy that makes fight scenes on YouTube. Maybe he's good at what he does, but he just sounds like a glorified stuntman or fight choreographer to me. And I'm not saying that the guy automatically sucks based on that alone, but what I am saying is he is fighting an uphill battle. I feel sorry for the guy because he is brought in to try to replace a very iconic actor. And what I am criticizing is not even me being completely unfair to the guy. If this guy was hired by Disney, hypothetically, to take over the role of Blade, then he would be facing an uphill battle because people are inevitably going to make comparisons to the Wesley Snipes portrayal. Because for many people, their understanding of who Blade is as a character comes from Wesley Snipes. And Wesley Snipes' Blade is based on the comic book Blade. So you can't try to sit here and pretend like, oh, well, he's not playing movie Blade, he's playing comic book Blade. Even ignoring how shitty of an argument that is, because movie Blade is based on comic book Blade, you can't act like this is just a completely different version of Blade. This isn't like Spider-Man, for example, where the Tobey Maguire version of Spider-Man and the Andrew Garfield version of Spider-Man were two different Spider-Men, because one was based on Spider-Man, the other was based on the Amazing Spider-Man. Those actually were two different portrayals of Spider-Man and two different versions of the Spider-Man character. You can't say that's the same thing here because it's not. Blade, as we know him, has only been one version of Blade. And even the version of Blade that we get in Deadpool and Wolverine, from what I can tell, is that same version of Blade that we got time and time again. So to try to sit here and pretend that this is a different version of Blade, but even then, Death Battle could have easily avoided this problem by not making it a live-action fight. Why did this have to be the live-action fight? Especially when everybody's money was on it being Light versus Columbo. That's what I don't understand. Death Battle could have easily avoided this by it not being a live-action fight, or just, here's what I don't get. This actor they got to portray Blade, could they at least get a guy that vaguely resembles Blade or vaguely resembles Wesley Snipes? Because, as you will see from some of these other comments, they will question, well, what is it you don't like about this portrayal of Blade? Well, how about the fact that he doesn't look anything like Blade? He just looks like a guy. And I don't get it. Is it that hard to find somebody that looks like Blade? And what's funny about Blade is Blade is always known for wearing sunglasses. So when he has the sunglasses on, as long as you can get somebody that has a vague resemblance to Blade, when you put on the sunglasses, you can somewhat hide that a little bit. Or you could even do what the people that made the remaster of Darth Vader vs. Obi-Wan did, where they made a mask of Alec Guinness and put the mask over the actor that they got to portray Obi-Wan and do a voice performance of Obi-Wan Kenobi, and it's very seamless and it works.
Our long-awaited meeting has come at last.
The circle is now complete. When I left you, I was but a learner. Now I am the master.
Only a master of evil, Darth.
Your powers are weak, old man.
You can't win, Darth. If you strike me down, I shall become more powerful than you can possibly imagine.
Then I will show you the true nature of the Force.
They did not have access to Alec Guinness, but they didn't need to get access to him because they found a way around it through clever special effects. Why can't Death Battle do the same thing? Why is it that you Death Battle fans always have to limit what Death Battle is capable of and treat them like a special needs child? That's what I really don't understand. I hold Death Battle to a high standard, and I'm considered an asshole for it. Death Battle fans sit here and say, like, oh, you think Death Battle can do this? They're just a small little indie project. And then I respond with, well, AVGN can get their hands on high-profile celebrities like Gilbert Gottfried, so why couldn't Death Battle? Explain that to me. Seriously, Death Battle fans, explain to me how that makes any sense and how that's in any way fair to Death Battle. It doesn't just make you all look like you're just demeaning Death Battle's ability. So, let's move on to another comment.
Next we have, are you stupid? Like, genuinely, you're complaining about a problem that doesn't exist. By the way, nice ad hominem, by the way. Doesn't make you look like a fucking asshole at all. DB probably had very little say on who acted in the fight. Ishman Hawk most likely chose them. That line in Deadpool and Wolverine is a joke. I doubt that Snipes actually, that only he should play Blade. Sheesh, can you proofread your fucking comments, my guy? At least when I notice typos and whatnot in my comments, I go back and fix them. Please proofread your shit, my guy. But to address your point, the problem I'm complaining about is a problem that absolutely exists. This happens all the time. Whenever you get an adaptation of a video game, of a comic book, of an anime, what's one of the first criticisms that ever comes out, especially when we find out what actors are portraying certain characters? They get compared. It happens all the time. Just imagine if this was like a Blade short film or a new Blade movie, and this guy got cast to play Blade. He would be facing the exact same criticisms. Stop acting like this is different just because it's Death Battle, okay? Death Battle has etched its way into pop culture status. They have millions of subscribers, millions of followers, millions of viewers. I see other YouTubers just casually name drop Death Battle. Stop acting like they are this tiny YouTube channel that nobody has ever heard of. They're not. You're just trying to make excuses, and I'm tired of it, okay? Excuses are fucking bullshit, okay? I don't make excuses for myself. I don't make excuses for Death Battle. Why do you feel the need to make excuses on Death Battle's behalf? And how the fuck do you know? Are you behind the scenes at Death Battle? Do you know what's going on? Seriously, what is your evidence that Death Battle had very little say in who was playing Blade? Seriously, what evidence do you have of that? Because Death Battle is one funding everything. It's their freaking show. They are only collaborating and working with this Ishman Hawk company. Like, you expect me to believe that they just got some guy and said, okay, Death Battle, here's your guy, and you don't get to pick any other guy. This is just who you get. And Death Battle said, oh yeah, sure, whatever. Like, no. There was likely a casting call. There was likely some kind of screening done for potential actors. Like, you expect me to believe that they just plucked some guy off the street and said, here you go, Death Battle, no take-backsies? No. Death Battle is directing this shit. So unless you have some kind of evidence suggesting otherwise, and even then, what kind of argument is that? Oh, well, Death Battle had very little say. Once again, these so-called Death Battle supporters making Death Battle look like a bunch of retards that don't actually control anything. Once again, it shows. Like, I cannot stress this enough. These people legitimately think that Death Battle can't do shit. And all they do is they just make constant excuses for them. Again, Death Battle can't do this, Death Battle can't do that, Death Battle had no choice in this, Death Battle had no choice in that. It is bullshit, okay? And whether or not that line from Deadpool Wolverine was a joke or not doesn't change the reality that for many people, that's not just something Wesley Snipes said. I have had this conversation with so many comic book fans, so many Blade fans, so many people. When you ask them who Blade is, they think Wesley Snipes. When you ask them, who would you like to play Blade? They're going to say Wesley Snipes. It's not like, well, I'd be fine with anybody playing Blade. No. Again, think back to like when they adapted Dragon Ball Z and they got the actor to play Goku. I guarantee you there was a bunch of people saying that, well, this actor doesn't look like Goku, he doesn't act like Goku, and people got upset about it, rightfully so. And it's not even just the fact that they couldn't get Wesley Snipes. If it couldn't be done, then it couldn't be done. Then you could have at least gotten an actor that at least vaguely resembled Wesley Snipes. Part of the reason why Wesley Snipes was such a good choice to play Blade is because he looks like Blade. When you look at Blade in the comics and you look at Wesley Snipes, that is Blade. He just is Blade. Kind of like how Heath Ledger literally just became the Joker. Wesley Snipes just became Blade. And I'm not saying it's impossible for somebody else to completely portray Blade. What I'm saying is, it's going to be harder for people to accept a new Blade because they are so closely attached to the Wesley Snipes Blade. I don't know how you don't understand this. I guarantee you, look at comments relating to any live action adaptation of any comic book, video game, or anime adaptation. I guarantee you, you will find very similar arguments to what I'm hurling at this guy that would be being hurled at whatever actor was playing that one character. So yes, this is a problem that is very common. Remember the whole controversy about Scarlett Johansson playing Major Kusanagi from Ghost in the Shell, and there were some people that were saying that she had no right playing Kusanagi because she wasn't a Japanese woman, and then there was people in Japan saying that she was the perfect choice to play Kusanagi because she looked like the character. I don't know why you so-called Death Battle fans don't understand this. So I'm getting a question if you even are Death Battle fans and aren't just filthy casuals that just blindly watch Death Battle and don't think about any of the content that you've just absorbed. You just mindlessly watch it.
And I think I'm gonna stop it here from now. I have more comments that I would like to respond to, but this definitely ended up going a lot longer than I thought. So here's what I'll do. I'll stop here for now. And if you guys want me to make a part 2 of this, or make an entire series dedicated to reacting to Death Battle comments, or comments that I just get in my comment section or on my Twitter, let me know if you would like me to make this into a series, like Busting Smarks or something like that. I'd love to be able to cover some more of the comments that I have, but I also want to get other videos done as well. So let me know what you think of these comments, and if you would like to see more of this, and I'll see you guys around for the next video.
Back again. Shady's back.